Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Welcome to our Shiur, an Amud today. We're towards the end of Bava Metzia. The Shiur is Lulu Nishmas Ovi Moir Menachem Ben Akiva Ros Bas Shalom Sora Anyway Shabbat Elchonanit Chok. Needless to say, in memory of the many hundreds of our brothers that were killed ruthlessly by our enemies, and the Shiur is dedicated for the success of the soldiers. May they all come back home healthy and well and victorious. May Hashem win this war. Okay. Excuse me. Habais V'Aliyah. Mishnah. Habais V'Aliyah, we're talking here about a case in which there is a house, a bottom floor, the Aliyah. Aliyah means the second floor. There's the house meaning the house, the bottom floor. Aliyah is the second floor. Now, the house that we're talking about is rented. The owner of the house lives in the bottom floor, and the tenant lives in the top floor. The top floor is called the Aliyah, the attic, that's the second floor. People would enter, by the way, the second floor through a set of stairs, a staircase that was outside the house. Yeah? Okay, that's the way it goes. We have to know that for later on. Habais ve'aliyah. There's a house and aliyah. Yeah, little house and aliyah, second floor on top of that. Nifcheta ha'aliyah. Yeah, one sunny day, unfortunately, the aliyah, which is the layer between the house and the top floor, which means between that layer, which is the ceiling of the bottom and the floor of the top, somehow, slowly or quickly, it was nifchat. Basically, it started to vanish. Yeah, part of the floor is just not there. There's a hole in the floor. So now, the en balabais roitze letaken. The balabais, which we assume from some reason is supposed to fix it, and it's not so simple. Why? Let's say the balabais is the one that's supposed to fix that hole there in the floor/ceiling, and he doesn't want to do that. He refuses to fix, although that was the agreement, but he doesn't want to do that. Harei Baal Aliyah yoyred v'dar lemata. The Baal Aliyah, the tenant, the one renting, may go down and live underneath. If he wishes to, he has the right to go downstairs and live downstairs in the house of the owner. Ad shitakin lo aliyah, until it fixes aliyah. Basically, looks to me like a demonstration. Until you don't fix up my, floor that I deserve to have fixed, I'm going to live in your house. We have to understand why is that so? Yeah, we can't just get emotional and say this is demonstration. We have to understand what's the logic behind it. The Gemara will explain. Rabbi Yossi says, I agree with everything that Tanakama says, except for one thing, and that is nois atachto nois enesatikra v'alion esamaziva. Sorry, which means every tikra, and I'm sure some of you know about it better than me, but every layer of tikra of ceiling has an extra layer on top of it, made out of cement, and while the bottom one is made out of wood. Yeah, let us have a small peek over here. Yeah, let's okay. 1 minute. Let me do it this way. Yeah, let's say this is the house. There's a hole over here. Now the owner of the house, which is also the owner of the whole place, yeah, he's supposed to fix that. Okay, so let's say fixes it. Now there are two layers. There's one layer made out of wood and other stuff, which we're going to see. That's a tikra. On top of that, there's a thing called ma'aziva. Ma'aziva is the second layer. Ma'aziva is basically la'azov, means to strengthen. Ma'aziva means the top layer, which is of cement. It cements the boards, and it serves two purposes. It makes it more stable. It makes the boards more stable, and also, besides making them more stable, it avoids leaking, what we call itum. This is something that helps make the place be waterproof, sealant. It's a good sealant. That's a ma'aziva. Rabbi Yossi basically says like this: the owner of the house, all he has to do as the owner of the whole place, he's reliable and liable to fix the boards, just the minimum ones, the tikra, not the top layer. While Rabbi Yossi says, that's what Rabbi Yossi says. Rabbi Yossi says the Elyon, the top guy, is supposed to fix the ma'aziva, the top layer, to make it stronger and better and waterproof. While Tanakama says that the bottom guy, who's the owner, he's supposed to take care of everything. What's behind the machloikas? That will be explained hopefully today. Bezos Hashem. Says the Gemara. So before we come to explain why is it that we have such a dramatic idea over here of the tenant coming to live in the house of the owner, why is that? Before we deal with that, the Gemara is actually coming to explain what is the story exactly here. How big is the hole in the ceiling? Says the Gemara. Nifchita bekama. The Gemara asks the question, how big was the hole? That hole in the ceiling, slash floor, how big was the hole in order to make the second guy, the bottom guy, be liable to host the guy upstairs in his house? To what extent? And soon we're going to understand what the question really is all about. Rav Omar berubo, Shmuel Omar be'arbo. Rav says the majority. Rav says that if the hole in the ceiling was so big, the hole was so big, that, let's say the hole was so big, the majority of it is there is no floor. The majority of the place, there's no floor in the majority, over 51%. Then situation Aliyah is so bad, where can he live? He only has a minority of the place, only a small part to live. Then we can mechayev the bottom guy to have a knock on his door and say, I'm going to live by you until we fix that up. And Shmuel says, no, even if there's arbot tfachim, 4 by 4 tfachim area, much smaller, already when there's a 4 by 4 tfachim, according to Shmuel of a hole, 4 by 4, that is enough to already make the bottom guy forced to host the top guy. Before we continue, I just want you to understand that the Shiur 4 tfachim by 4 tfachim, how much is that? That is between 8 or 9.6 centimeters. So it's somewhere between 32 to 40, close to 40 centimeters. Depends, different opinions in halacha. Let's say there's a hole there of 32 over 32 centimeters or 40 by 40. That place in halacha is always called an important place. Arba tfachim, like in Shabbos, for Hitzol, Mershus, Loshus, and other things, 4 tfachim is always considered as a place which is important. So now, what's Machlokas Rav Shmuel? Shmuel says once there's a hole of 4 tfachim already, at that happy note, the bottom guy can say, I can't take it anymore. I'm coming to live in your house until you deal with business. What's the machlokas between them? Rav says, beruba. Rav says, if the majority, Rav says, if the majority is what is already all perforated, is just not there, is missing, then the bottom guy can go and say, the top guy can say, I'm going to live in the bottom. Aval barbo loy. If there's a hole of 4 tfachim, although 4 tfachim is an important place, loy, it doesn't justify for the top guy go live by the bottom guy. Why? Says Rav, Odom dar chetzio lemata, chetzio lemala. A person may be kindly asked to divide his residence, his living between the top and the bottom, which means, let's say there's a hole here of 4 tfachim, right? That means you can live here and you can live here. The 4 tfachim, that is the area where your little fridges or your pots and pans or your cupboard, put them downstairs, says Rav. You can't go down to the bottom guy and live there all the time together with him, or maybe even kick him out. We're going to see later. You can't do that, says Rav. Why? You can live upstairs for most of your necessities, and every time you need that 4 by 4 tfachim, let's say there was a cupboard over there, your utility cupboard, move your utility cupboard down here and use it by him. And you're going to go up and down all the time. It's not convenient to go up and down all the time. True, yes, but you can't force the bottom guy to have you hosted by him all the time until he fixes it. We demand of you, Mr. Top Guy, to still live by you. And every time you need the bottom thing, instead of here, you have the same cupboard over here about the bottom guy, and you go up and down every time you need to use that cupboard or that kli. That is what Rav says. Only if it got to the point where the majority is missing, then obviously you can't live in a house where the majority there's no floor. Then the whole one big hole. Then we say you permanently go down to the bottom guy until things get fixed. That's what Rav says. Shmuel Omar Barba. Shmuel says, already by 4 tefachim, we can say to the top guy, you have every right in the world to go down to the bottom guy, the one who's neglecting what he's supposed to be doing. Already 4 tefachim, you're going to move down there, hook, line, and sinker completely. Why? It says, Ein odom da chetzi lamata v'chetzi lamala. Because we cannot demand of a person to go crazy and live up, down, up, down, up, down. It's not a gym over here. And you can't demand of him to always, live up there. And whenever he needs to use something, then he should go down, up, down, up, down, up, down every time. Once there's one choshev a place of 4 tefachim, and I need to use that choshev a place every once in a while, you cannot demand of me, says the top guy, the tenant, to go up and down every time. And therefore, I will live by you completely with my pajamas and with my bed and with my wife and with my children and with my everything until you get it fixed. That's Machlokas Rav Shmuel. Halacha is like who? Shmuel. That's what Shulchan Aruch says. Now comes the main question. Echidami. The question Echidami is obviously what makes the Mishnah say such a drastic, dramatic thing is going to go and live down by the bottom guy until it gets fixed. Why is that the way to do things? Echidami. What the story is exactly, or Echidami means what was the agreement between them? What was the original agreement between the tenant and the soicher, and the maskir, right? Sometimes the maskir says, I rent you a place as long as it's okay. And let's assume right now, although it's a machlokes rishonim, let's follow the opinion that says that it wasn't the bottom guy's fault. Not everything that happens in the house of a tenant, belonging to a maskir, is always a maskir's fault. I told you once, a guy rented my father's apartment in Tel Aviv, and he demanded money from my father because there's dust coming from the street. There was the dust coming from the street, from building, from the city, and he was demanding my father should compensate. Dust coming from the city. It's insane. Tel Aviv, Baruch Hashem. So then close the window and close your mouth too, excuse my expression. So obviously not everything is the master's fault, the balabai's fault, and you can't always say, I'll come and live in your house. It sounds very, war style, but what's the story? War. Ida Omar Aliyah Zu. Let's say the maskir, the owner, told the tenant, Aliyah Zu, I am renting out to you this attic, this second top floor. What does it mean when we say Zu in halacha? As is. I'm not committed to always give you and replenish and always provide you with a place to live. I'm not the social services. I'm giving you this apartment as it is. If so, Azda. Azda means it's gone. It's your tough luck, says Rashi. Mazol chagarm. It's your bad luck. I didn't do it. I'm not mechuyev to anything. Go and fix it yourself. Maybe it was your bad usage, excuse me. So what's the story? So why should the bottom guy, the owner, be committed at all? Eladomerle aliyah stam. Elamai. No. He told him, I'm committed to rent out to you and aliyah. Any kind of aliyah, is on top, is on my shoulders. I'm mechuyev to provide you with an aliyah, not this aliyah and aliyah, whichever aliyah. If so, lugar leachrisi. So why are you getting so dramatic? Even if you say that the person, the owner, is supposed to provide to him an aliyah, so says Rashi, if the person has another aliyah, let's say the bottom guy, the owner, has other houses in town. He's a big, property guy. So give him another place to live. Get it fixed, and until it's fixed, give him another place. Maybe don't even fix it. Maybe just give him another place. Let's say it's 4 different apartments. Choose from whichever one of those 4. Very nice. But what makes you say this? Committed to fix it, first of all. And if it doesn't fix it, then the first solution is go down and live with the owner. What's the story? Amarova, that says Rova, Loi Tzricha. There is a case where it's needed. I'll tell you what the case of the Mishnah is. The Omerle, the agreement was as follows. Aliyah zu shani maskir lecho. Aliyah zu shani maskir lecho. This attic, this second floor, which I am renting out to you, kisalka salik bahado. When it's up, you go up. Meaning, as long as it's nice and it's up and done and nice and functional, you go up, live up there. Bechinachis chus bahado. And if the aliyah is not going to work right, if the aliyah is going to fall apart, not completely fall apart, there's a hole there, then nachis ba'ada, you're going to go down and live with me. He said outright. He said it. He said, if anything happens to your top floor, which I'm renting out to you, you go down, bahada. If it's like a game of words. If the thing falls, you also fall, meaning you also go down and live with me. Frag the Gemara, if so, what's the chiddush? So what's the chiddush? Why does the Mishnah have to tell me something that every Tim McKenzie knows? What do you mean? If the guy said outright that if anything happens to the aliyah that's not livable enough, there's a 4x4 hole, then what? You have to go down live with me. Then of course he has to go live down by him. What's the chiddush? Why does Mishnah have to tell me that? True. Elo Amar Ravashi. Therefore Ravashi says a different pshat. There was a different story, much more fine-tuned. The Omer Lei, the Balabais, originally when they sat down and made the agreement, the Balabais told the tenant, Aliyah zu al gabi. Listen to every word. Aliyah zu, this attic, this top floor, shall gabi bais ze, that's on top of this house, and imaskir lecho. That's what I'm renting out to you. So the Chayra, all he said was this aliyah, right? Okay, this top floor, right? That I'm renting you. But he added extra words. He said this aliyah, which is on top of this house. The words on top of this house are redundant. And therefore, because we know, if he pointed, they were standing in the street, and he said, this, look, you see, that second floor I'm renting out to you, I'm committed. And what did he say? On top of this floor, on top of this house, everybody can see it's the top of the house. Why do you have to say it's on top of the house? Everybody knows that. The Shabit Bais Laliyah. Because when you said the redundant extra words that the aliyah is on top of the house, that is to tell you that this house is committed kivyochol to the aliyah. And if anything happens to the aliyah, the next best solution, your next place of residence until I fix it will be what? The bais, the bottom floor. That's the idea. In other words, he didn't say it outright. Had he said it outright, I don't need the Mishnah to tell me that. The chiddush is that he hinted it. He hinted and he said, I'm giving you this aliyah. Because he said this aliyah, I would say, okay, this aliyah, but maybe he's not committed to give him any other solution. No. Once he said, which is on top of this house, wink, wink, it's on top of a nice, comfortable house. That is to say, my house is going to be the back player, the bench player, that in case anything happens to the aliyah, you go down to the house. This is how we interpret his words. His entire extra sentence comes to tell me something, and that shows and represents commitment that if the top floor is faulty, then you go down to the bottom floor. That is the chiddush of our Mishnah. By the way, I had a question. Why did Rava, according to Rava, what did the Mishnah tell me? The Mishnah spoke about something that is very clear, right? That he told him outright, yeah, if anything happens on the top floor, go down to the bottom floor. What's the chiddush? I was wondering, this is Rava talking. The Gemara rejected Rava. Rabbi said Rava is an Amayra. Rava is not a newspaper, Halila. So what did Rava mean? I was Mechaven Baruch Hashem to Rav Altusky, which is Rav Scheinberg's son-in-law. I had an idea, then I saw it by his sefer. He says, you know, as we know many, many times, we know in Halacha, it's a machlokas, and as far as we know, we paskin that asmachta loy kanya. If I tell you that if you guys all, I don't know, behave nicely, then I'll give you $1 million. You're not going to really take me to Beis for $1 million, right? You understand? It's some kind of unfunny joke, right? Yeah, I'm going to $1 million. It's shtiyot, right? So Havamina would be that if the bottom guy told the top guy, if anything happens, you come live with me. He's just trying to, pitumi mili. He's trying to make it sound nice. He's not serious. He's going to come in his own house. My home is my castle. My people are going to come down to me to live with me just because something faulty. Maybe he's just trying to be nice, right? Comes the Mishnah and tells me, no, it's an asmachta, but it's not an asmachta. We take him seriously. Rav saw that as a chiddush, but Ravina didn't think it's a chiddush. So Ravina found another case. You may ask questions soon when we're going to finish the Inyan, and then there'll be time for questions. And the Gemara is going to compare it to another case. The Gemara is going to compare the case of the bottom floor being subjugated, being committed and forced by the top floor, meshubed to the top floor. We compare it to the following case. The Chiyod Omar Rabin Barav Ada Omar Rav Yitzchak. Rabin Barav Ada on behalf of Rav Yitzchak said the following: the case is not exactly identical, but there is a similarity between the case of the Bais and Aliyah and the following case. Now let's move from the house to the field, to the vineyard. The person told his friend, Dalis here, Dalit. A Dalis is basically a vine, you know how vines grow, right? They grow and they have to be supported by all kinds of, like sticks and strings, right? That's called dalit. Dalia is basically dali in Aramaic is to raise, to lift. It's a vine that is supported by something below it, right? So now, dalis shal gabi parsik ze ani moicher lecho. There was a peach tree. I'm selling you this geffen, this vine that is supported by this peach tree. The peach tree is the thing that supports the geffen on top. It's not a problem of kilaim because there's no kilaim but trees unless you graft it. Yeah, they're just close by. The geffen is basically supporting itself on top of a peach tree, and that's the way it goes. And he took him to the field and he told him, this vine that is supported by the peach tree, which is extra words. Everybody can see it's supported by the peach tree. Well, why did he add those words? The nekara parsek. That parsek did not completely diminish, but somebody eradicated it. Somebody pulled it out. Let's say that parsek was pulled out, and now there's no good support for the vine anymore. Now what's going to be? Uba ma'aser lifnei Rabbi Chia. Rabbi Chia came, people came in front of the dine Rabbi Chia. The Omar, Rabbi Chia said the following: Chayev ata lamid loy parsek kozman shadalis kaima. You are committed, you're obligated, Mr. Seller. You sold him a vine on top of what? On top of a peach tree. It wasn't a picturesque description. You hinted a promise. You hinted a condition that this vine is there, supported by the peach tree. Everybody sees the peach tree is there. Why do you mention it? You mention it basically because you're committing yourself to do what? To replant the parsek, to replant the afarsek, the peach, in case, as long as the dalias is there, as long as the geffen, as long as the vine is there and needs support, and now the whole thing fell apart, you need to rebuild, or in our case, replant the afarsek in order to support the vine. Of course, you're going to ask the question, is the opposite of our case. In our case, the top thing failed, right? The aliyah, right? And in the case of Rabbi Baravad Omar Yitzchak, the bottom thing failed, but it doesn't really make a difference. The idea is commitment. If you're committing the person, I'm selling you X, and X is supported by Y, X is on top of Y, you're thickly hinting that Y is there as constant support. And if anything is going to happen to the main product that you bought, you're basically giving him support, like you buy today software, right? The support that comes along with it, hopefully, right? Guarantee. It's a form of guarantee. It's true. The Rishonim point out the comparison is not 100% exact. The concept is the same. Here it's the bottom and here it's the top. But at the end of the day, the idea is if you hinted this has a very nice house underneath, which will always be there, very supportive. What are you saying? That if anything happens to the top, next best thing is going to go down to you and live with you. Same thing like by the geffen. If anything happens to the bottom one, the afarsik, because you bought the geffen. If anything happens to the afarsik, which is supposed to be the support, the peach tree, then you have to plant again the peach tree and make sure the support is always there. Okay, let us hear some questions. I just want to tell you in advance, I'll be a little bit miserly with the questions because we have to start Kiddushin next Monday. I sort of left an extra day, more or less, but we still, it's better if we finish on over the day because next Monday is already a whole new world, and then is after Mashiach is coming too. Okay. Now, Bava Memel has a question. Shehu Dar. So let's say things got really tough, and Mr. Bottom Floor resident, how do you call it? Resident landlord, he refuses to fix, or he tells him manana, and then he already lost it with him, the top guy, knocks on the door with Bezdin's permission to move into the bottom floor where the Balabais lives. Now, does he kick the bottom one out or not? Excuse my language. Does he evict him and say, I'm going to live here on my own because I deserve my privacy as I was promised an apartment on my own, a flat to myself. Now you go out, you Mr. No Good, because you should have fixed it and you didn't. Or maybe they'll share the apartment, him with his 10 children and him with his 10 children in the little 3-room apartment. Yeah, what's the story? When he moves downstairs, should he move downstairs alone, as he originally was? The agreement was, I'm supposed to have a place to myself, and that's how I'll keep it. Or maybe we say, listen, There is a limit to how much the bottom guy is committed, and they'll both live together because the bottom guy did not mean that he'll be evicted. He understands that he's really committed and he has to fix it. And if not, you'll live downstairs. He meant you live with him. Obviously, they didn't discuss it clearly because otherwise it wouldn't be such a case in the Gemara. They did not discuss it clearly. They didn't come to anything clear. And the question is, how do we, the onlookers, the Beis Din, how do we view it? Do we say that he lives there on his own and evicts the other guy, the original guy, or do we say that they live together? Yeah, the Omerle, and the Gemara says, the Gemara is going to explain what I said. Adaitalap kinan, with the idea of you kicking me out, lo yagri loch, that is not something that I had in mind, that I'm renting in order to, at any given point, be kicked out of my own house. That is Dartutz Dodim, or maybe no. What do you mean you didn't think so? Who cares you didn't think? At the end of the day, you're committed to give me a nice place to my own. This is another nice place of my own. Im tim dorin boy. By the way, that's the halacha. And halacha is also like Shmuel, by the way. Yeah, about the 4 versus majority. Halacha is like Shmuel, as is usually the halacha in Choshen Mishpat, that once there's a 4x4 hole, let's say 40 centimeters or 32 centimeters hole in that floor/ceiling, already then the guy moves downstairs completely. How does he move? Shneim dorin bo. He does not evict the first guy. He comes and lives with his 10 little kindalach, in the bottom floor with the bottom guy. I'm sure the bottom guy will very quickly fix the area in between. That he's going to call the handyman right away. So imtim salama shneim dorin boy. Let's say, if you say, this is like a flow chart kind of Gemara. If you want to tell me that both of them live there together underneath, show mishtamish. Now, how does he enter? Oh, how does he enter the place? Oh, let me show you. So here we have a staircase. Let's say this is the door. This is the front door. This is a nice menschlich entrance to the house. And here you have, let's say, a stairwell that goes to the aliyah. The top floor, there's an exterior, set of stairs, or the spiral stairs that go to the aliyah, like you have here in Motzamayim. So the normal way to go into the house, where currently both families live together, right? There's a nice menschlich front door, the nice knocking thing. And there's also that place over here. And by the way, the hole is still here. Remember, the hole is still holy. So the question is, how does the Baal Aliyah enter the house? Does he have the right to go in normally like a mensch over here, which is much nicer? He doesn't have to do acrobatics. Or does he go all the way up into his house and then goes down here with another ladder? Does he have to go, slalom, circus, this, and this? Or does he go straight through the front door? If you have answers to that, that's not good, because it's a question of the Gemara. And it's getting a little bit, okay. So now, 1 second. Intim tzalomish name dorin boy. Shu mishtamish der psochim mishtamish. Does he use the place? Does he enter the place through the petach, through the official front door or back door, the normal menschlich ground floor door, or der gagen mishtamish, or does he use it through the roof? Which means what? Well, what really is the question? Mi omar kedemi kore. On one hand, you can say, what was the original use of the place? Don't tell me, why do I need to do it? What do you mean? You always used to go up here. You never used that. Even the original agreement, which you like to, show me all the time and, scream on behalf of the original agreement, you went up the stairs, right? You lost 10 kilos, Baruch Hashem. You went up the stairs all the way over here, right? Mami kor derech gogin, just like originally used to go through the roof, meaning through the back door, through the staircase. Ashtanami derech gogin. Here too, go through the roof, go through here and there, and hit the roof, and then go down back here. Oy dilma, or maybe no. Matzi omerle, or maybe the top guy can tell the bottom guy, aliyah kabili aloy. I only accepted upon myself originally to go up, and then nice and wet, and then go straight into my house. But aliyah the yerida lo kabili aloy. I never accepted upon myself to go up and then down again. I accepted to go just up, and that's it. I never agreed to go up and then again go down, over here like this. This is too much. In other words, basically, the situation now is either gets an upgrade to go through the front door, which is much, much nicer than going just up the stairs, or gets a downgrade that instead of going up, he has to go up, in, and then down again every time to go up and down. It's more of a story. That's a question. Who do we support? Who do we follow here? Do we say he gets an upgrade or a downgrade or a deterioration? That's a question. And we don't answer that question yet. And we have another question. And when we get to the teiku, you can ask your questions too. Im timitziloimar, again, flowchart. If you choose, if you go for the option of matzi omerle aliyah v'yarida loy kabili, oh, we are now working for the aliyah. The aliyah guy wins. Yeah. Which is what? Aliyah v'yarida loy kabili aloy. No. Let's say that he, the top guy, tells the bottom guy, I never accepted upon myself to be an acrobat in the circus. I accepted to go up and then go to my floor, but I never accepted to go up, in, and oop, down again. That I never accepted. Therefore, I'll go for an upgrade of going through the main door. If you say that, if you say the following, then what will be in the following case? Ooh, we're getting now Mamish Burj Khalifa over here. Yeah, let's say there are two aliyos. Wow. Yeah, this is quite rare in the times of the Gemara. There's aliyah 1 and aliyah 2. It's a 3-floor building. That's wow, that's fancy and very Art Nouveau. You have a house, aliyah, and another aliyah on top of that. What would be the following case? Now, shte aliyos, if we say that he gets an upgrade, what would be in the following case? Shte aliyos zul gabezu. There are two aliyahs, one on top of the other. Mahu. What would be the halacha then? Says the Gemara, what do you mean what's the halacha? Let's nice and slow analyze and speak out the case. If chis elyoino, let's say the very, very top one, it fell apart. Yeah, there's a hole in the area here in the floor of the uppermost story. Yeah, if chis elyoino nachis v'darba tachtoino, there's no question. Obviously, yeah, if there's a hole over here, it moves over here. The balbais lives here. Let's say here it's empty, or there's another tenant. I don't know. But the balbais committed and said, "You have an aliyah. You're used to going up and up the stairs. You're a real sporty guy. You go all the way up and up and up and up and up over here. In this case, you go here. In a way, it's even nicer. You get second floor, not third floor. Especially in Shabbos, no Shabbos elevator, right? A very holy building, yeah. So now, Idalia, obviously, if there's a hole over here, he moves down over here. Very nice. However, if he's tachtoinamau, oh, that's a good question now. What would be if this one is the one with a hole, the middle floor, the bottom aliyah, which is the middle floor? Now there's a question: does he go down or does he go up? Ooh, that's a question. Why? If he's tachtoinamau, lemislak legama be'elyoinu mi amrinan. Do we say, the bottom guy would say, my house? No way. What do you mean? Of course I told him my house is committed. I meant my house in general, explains Tosfos. House means two things. Where's Buffalo? There's New York, right? When you say New York, you mean New York, the city, and there's New York, the state. Even I know that, yeah? So therefore, right, the idea is when you say bayit, come live in my bayit, either it means my bayit, the comfy, fancy house where I live, or it meant bayit in general. So if you lived in the middle floor, if you lived in the top floor, obviously I'll move you over here. But when let's see, you're the middle guy. There's a hole over here, and here it's all very nice and good over here, yeah? And you are with the hole in the middle. The question is, shall you go down to my bayit, or shall you go up to that part of my bayit, my building? That is a question. Do we take him down, or do we bring him up? Because he only committed to go up one floor, not 2 floors. That's too much for him and his aching legs, right? So now the Gemara asks the following question. Yeah? If he's tachtoinu mau, the bottom aliyah, which is the center middle floor, what's going to happen if there's a hole over there? Lemislak legama be'elyoino mi amrinan. Do we say go legamre, go up, 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 up? Yeah, work your feet, work your legs. It's good for your weight. The Omer L'Shem aliyah kabilit alach. Are you going to cry and scream at me and said, I'm only masking to 1 floor, not to 2 floors, and therefore I'll go down, nice and comfy? No, you agreed to the concept of aliyah. It's true that you meant 1 aliyah, not 2, but you be'etzem agreed to go up the stairs. So just because they have another set of stairs doesn't really make a difference, and I'll demand you to go there and not bother me while I'm having my nice cozy supper and saying close things to my family. You're not going to come to my castle. This is too much for you. I'm sorry. You be'etzem accepted the concept of aliyah. You're going aliyah 1 floor, go aliyah 2 floors. Or maybe no. Chad aliyah kabilalei, shtel is lo kabilalei. Or the other side is obviously clear. No, says Mr. Top Guy Tenant. No, I agreed to one floor going up, not 2 floors. I'm not an athlete from the Olympics. 1 floor I can do, not 2 floors, and therefore I'll go down to you. I'll go down to you. I'll have an upgrade. That's a question. Why? Because again, when we say that to go up and down, we don't say that's crazy. To tell them every time to go up and then to go down, that's Michigane, and therefore we say go to the bottom, you go here. But when you to go up 2 floors is easier than going up, in, and then down again. So therefore, it's still a question. It's a teku. The Gemara doesn't answer the question. When you have an issue of I'm supposed to go originally, the original agreement was I'm representing now the tenant. I'm supposed to go 1 floor up. And can I be pushed and my athletic powers pushed further to go a 2nd floor? Because the guy can tell me, listen, 1 floor, 2 floors, you bet some agreed. You know that you are a staircase user. You're not one who's supposed to go down here. No way. Or the guy can tell him no. Maybe the top guy can say no. 1 floor agreed, not 2 floors. Teku, it's a question which remains in a teku. I looked up Shulchan Aruch this morning. I saw you. Yeah. I saw Shulchan Aruch this morning. What happens in the case of Teku? Teku doesn't only mean tish b'tat kusha v'tayas. Teku means leave things as they are, which means that halacha l'maisa, as long as this guy has a hole over here, it can either be downgraded upstairs or upgraded downstairs. I mean what I say, upgraded downstairs or downgraded upstairs, right? So we don't know what to do. So again, Me'ikar Adin depends how things are, says Aloha. Me'ikar Adin, you're not supposed to give him your house. It's a take, it's a maybe. Maybe he's meant to enter my warm, nice, cozy castle. Maybe yes, maybe no. I'm not mechuyev. So if he nicely went upstairs, we'll leave him there. But if he went by himself downstairs, yeah, he managed to sneak downstairs himself through the hole, and he himself went down and he lives there, we can't kick him out. Because that's what teku means. Teku means leave things as they are. That's the aloche. Okay, the seder. So again, so let's summarize. So if it's a top guy who has a hole, what do we say? We say he goes down, no question, right? But not all the way down, right? You have an upgrade. You go down 1 floor. It's even better for you. Who's complaining? Go all the way down to me because you like my stylish home? No way. That's obviously not. If you live in the middle, it's a teku. And if you live in the middle and you have what? You have a question if to go all the way through the door or up and down, you do go through the door. You upgrade it, go through the door. Because to go up and then down again is too crazy acrobatics. It's too much. Aliyah ve'yarida, that's already nutty. And therefore, that would don't demand of you. And you'll go down through the bottom floor, which is the main floor, through the main door, excuse me. The main door. This is the last session of questions you have for today. So I'll be very attentive to your current questions. And then we'll continue till 10:25. Sure. Yeah, unfortunately, we don't have time to elaborate on that, but yeah. Rabbi Yosem Artachta Nosen is a tikra. So some achlokas Rabbi Yosem Rabbanon, whether the bottom person has to fix both tikra and ma'aziva, meaning the bottom part of the tikra, the basic beams, or also the cement on top of it, or just the beams, and the cement will be fixed by who? By the top guy. That's what Rabbi Yossi says. Says the Gemara like this. Now, my tikra, in other words, there were at least 3 layers of stuff, of material in each tikra, in each ceiling in the times of the Gemara. The question is, when do you stop calling it tikra and you start calling it the second top layer, the top coating of the maziva? My tikra, machlokes, Rabbi Yosef Bachanina Omar kinim v'snoin. Kinim v'snoin basically are the machzelot. In other words, they would have some level of tikra, right? They would have some level of tikra here, maybe. On top of that, they would have some machzelot. They would have like machzelot v'snoim are rags. They would have like rags, and those rags would be support for the layer on top of that, okay? Which would be another layer of wood, yeah? Okay, and they're still called tikra. Yeah, those, yeah, like you have like a mesh. That mesh would be there in order to have something else on top of that, like wood. That mesh thing is still considered to be tikra and not maziva. Now, the Satini Omar, Satini is the name of an Amoira, which I think it's the first time I see him in Chas. Satini or Vestini, some say, is the name of an Amoira who was a Talmid of Rish Lakish. The Satini Omar B'Shimon Lakish, Levochim. Levochim means the pieces, the planks of cedar wood, of erez, yeah, the planks of the cedar, they would be also considered to be what? Also a tikra and not maziva. Now we all know that on top of all that, Rashi says that a few times there's another layer of cement. The layer of cement is definitely ma'aziva. The cement on top of everything is ma'aziva, and that'll be the very top. And it had two purposes: to make it stable, to make the levochim, those what's the names, those planks of wood, to make them stable, and also itum, make it waterproof, which is going to be the next sugya, right? So now basically the question is as follows: do we view everything below the cement as tikra, and only the cement is maziva, or do we say no? Two layers below the cement is tikra, and one level below the cement, which is the wooden pieces, is still is already maziva. That's a question. That layer, is it in between? Is it tikra or maziva? And says the Gemara, veloy pligi. They're not even arguing. Marki asre or marki asre depends on each one's location, each one's places. In some places, this would be considered as tikra, and other places consider it as maziva. Some people would view that as an essential part of the tikra itself, and some would say, no, that's those extra woods. They're arguing about the pieces of wood. Let's say those crisscross of the wood, the below the cement and above the bottom part, that middle level. Do you view that as tikra or as above tikra level, as like the extra fancy, extra reinforcement? Is that viewed that way? Is a question of the builder is here and the builder is there. In other words, in the place where BSD There would be considered as maziva, and Rav Shimon Lakish says labochim are still tikra. Now we're going to see another Gemara, and that piece of Gemara is to do with us. That piece of Gemara, just like the case of Ben Sar Moira, there's a question why Ben Sar Moira appears in the Gemara, because it never, ever happened, right? Ben Sar Moira. This case, too, is a case that never, ever happened in reality. It's a case of two people, one living one below the other, and there's leakage of water from the top floor to the bottom one. It's funny. It never, ever happened in reality, ever in history, never in this country, never in this neighborhood. But the Gemara talks about it just to, play a theory game. It's science fiction, complete science fiction. You wake up in the morning, and in case it happens once in a million, the top person right away fixes it without arguing. He calls him an expensive plumber. He leaves his job, and he right away, he fixes it perfectly without uttering a word on his expense, if it happens. So I don't know what the Gemara is talking about it, but it's like Ben Sarmar, Drosh V'Kabel Sachar, just to have a Torah mind again. Well, better, The Bekitzer, joking aside, as you can imagine, this Gemara is quoted a lot in BSD every other day, because this Gemara is the Gemara that talks about retivut, nezila, leakage, which, Bekitzer, here we come to the real Gemara. Weiter. Hanu Beitrei, it's a real life story from times of the Gemara. Hanu Beitrei Davud Dairi. There are two people who live. They are not a renter and they're not a tenant and an owner. These are just regular two neighbors. Ramad B'Shemesh, 2023. There are two people, one on top of the other. Chad Yiloi v'chad Tatoi. One of them lived on top, one on the bottom. What happened all of a sudden? Ifchis ma'aziva. So again, we have two layers. We have the tikra, which is the basic. Let's say it's the beams. Let's follow that. The ma'aziva, which we view as itum. It's itum. The ceiling, the waterproof a layer on top of that made out of cement was slowly somehow nifchat. Basically, it was eaten up, was eaten away, and just doesn't exist anymore. It's just not there. Ifchis ma'aziva, himashi maya, when he would wash his hands with water, the top guy, Eloi, the top one would wash Nagel Wasser, next to his bed. Asli, the water would go down. And the water would disturb the guy underneath. Yes, here we are. He washes. He sees Gishmei Bracha. He didn't imagine that when he said the Sent Alamot Bracha. But all of a sudden, there's leaking from the top because the itum, the sealant in the top guy's floor, what frame is floor, is just not there. Very nice. So they went to BSD. Who would ever believed? So now Reb Chia Bar Abba says, what did Reb Chia Bar Abba say? Ha'elyon metaken. The top guy is the one that's supposed to fix it. It's coming from him. He's supposed to fix it. However, Rabbi Eloi Mishum Rabbi Chia Bar Yosi Omar, Rabbi Eloi quoting Rabbi Chia Bar Yosi says, Omar hatachtoin mitaken. The bottom one is the one supposed to fix it. Meaning, and soon I'm going to explain to you why. I know you don't like that one. But Lamaisa, we're going to explain why. I'm going to give a small introduction soon. Atachton mitakin, which means the bottom one is the one who's the top one supposed to provide him with access, v'chulei. But Lamaisa, at the end of the day, when it comes to the money, the bottom guy who is the damaged party, it's his responsibility to fix the floor and the ceiling of the top guy. Okay, the Simon. And now we have a way to know who says what. The Yosef Hurad Mitzrayim. Rabbi Bar Yosi, which is Rabbi Yosef, is down. Just like it says in the Torah, Rabbi Yosef HaTzadik went down to Egypt. So too, the one who says that the bottom one has to fix it is Rabbi Yosi. Now, you may ask the question, why should the person damaging not be the one reliable? What is the logic behind Rabbi Yosi's words that says that the one who's being affected, being damaged, is the one responsible and has to pay? And the answer is as follows, as we're going to see soon. And anyhow, we're not going to finish the Amud today, so I'll be more relaxed and I'll tell you as follows. There's a big, serious difference between any other nezik in the world to the nizokim that are mentioned in the second parak in Bava Basra. Second parak Bava Basra, anybody? What's the issue over there? Nizkei shchenim. There's a very intrinsic, essential, principal difference between any other nezik and nezik between shchenim. Let me tell you the following. When it gets to leakage, we get very, edgy and antsy, but let's talk about, I'll tell you the following story. Let's say one neighbor every 3 o'clock in the afternoon, normal time for him, what really makes him happy, the happiest moment of his day, which he sees as something very nice and essential, helps us shalom bayis and his chinuch habanim and himself. Every 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he wants to listen to medium volume music by Yaakov Shweki. Nice music, not hip hop and not hard rock, not 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Nice music, and he says, that's where I live. For me to live without Yaakov Shweki music 3 o'clock in the afternoon is not called a life. I'm not damaging anybody. I'm living in my own Daladamos. Now, his next door neighbor is 85 years old. 3 o'clock in the afternoon is what? Is the time when he shlufs. And what? And for him to listen to Shweki in the middle 3 o'clock in the afternoon is impossible. Now, it's not so simple. We can now start getting emotional and the camera can focus on the faces of both of them. If we look at it in a way that is very hard and logic, there's no right and wrong here. Why? The person listens to Shweki in the afternoon, is not doing anything to damage the other guy. He lives in his own reshus. As the Gemara says, Bilshus hayoseh. I'm living in my own house the way which I'm just doing my own thing in my own place. The fact that it is indirectly affecting the other person the bad way, I didn't come to his house with a gun and I didn't even bring Shweki to his ears. He should put earplugs and go to sleep. In other words, or the other guy can say, no, mapitom. The sounds of the music which I don't like in the wrong time, the wrong place is coming to my ears. I'm your neighbor. That's when Yizkei Shchenim is very difficult and has all the machlokesim, and it's a very tough parak to understand in Lomdus because each one can say, the mazik can say, I'm not a classical mazik. I didn't go there to hit you. Even in the case of the water, I did not create the nezek of what? Of the water. I did not make the hole. I did not cause the, what's it called? If you did, then it's a different question. I did not dig out the itum, right? It happened by itself. I'm washing my hands. Washing hands in my house is something normal. Until you bring your plumber from Australia, you're really asking me not to wash my hands for a month? Try and look at both sides. In other words, the nezek, which is terrible and horrible, and I've been through it myself, by the way, to have water leaking onto your bed, this actually happened to me, is very unpleasant. But not being able to use your own house in the most normal, mundane, regular use is also not good. That's why let's not get emotional, take sides over here. It's not simple. Yizkei Shchenim is not simple. Because as long as the shochan does something which is normal use of his own house, the fact that it affects the other is a question. But it's not a downright mazid b'yodayim nezek either. So we always have to see both sides. And here at the moment, what we think is going on, although we're going to see some of it soon, is we have one opinion here that says that the top guy is not mechuyev to pay for the ceiling, for the SEALING, for the ceiling of the CEILI. He's not mechuyev. Why? Because I'm using it the way I'm using it, right? I'm not maziki beyadayim. I didn't go down and punch a hole in your place or dafka. I didn't take a water gun and as you know, fun time with my children, put it into house. I'm using my house normal usage. It's going on to you. Okay, I'll provide you with the keys to my house. You bring your plumber, but you pay for it because I'm just using my house the way I'm using it. I know it's hard to stomach it, but there is such a tzad. It's a strong tzad, strong halachic tzad. The other tzad, of course, supports who the damage and say, I don't care. You're using normal use. I have drops of water on my bald head in the middle of the night. Excuse me. That's impossible, right? But we should know there are two tzadot in here. The way it exactly works, we're going to see tomorrow in Metzia Hashem. And remember again, Monday is Kiddushin. So, yeah, Bezos Hashem. And thank you very much. I want to say some words of chizuk about the situation, but maybe we'll wait for tomorrow. Thank you very much. Atzlocha Rabbah, and may Klal Yisrael emerge very, very, very strong from this very, very, very sad situation. May we greet Mashiach very soon, because we realize now that there is no other solution whatsoever. Atzlocha ubrocha b'chol inyonim, and obviously, atzlocha ubrocha to our viewers on YouTube and to our time. Thank you very, very much. Have a good day.